Welcome to PlotLines, where we'll use our over 30 years of experience in real estate communications to uncover the real stories behind real estate. I'm Heather Crowell.
And I'm Britni Acriveau. Dive in with us as we invite guests to break down the ever-changing landscapes of real estate together. Welcome back to PlotLines, a podcast all about rewriting headlines in the real estate space. Heather and I are actually going to recap the first 10 episodes of PlotLines. It's so hard to believe that we've already recorded 10 episodes. Can you believe it?
I can't even believe it. I mean, when we were just talking about this, it feels like it was just yesterday, and here we are.
I know, here we are. Yeah, and it's so exciting. Looking back at just the range of topics and the variety of guests that we've had so far. What have been some of your favorite moments?
Yeah, I think in terms of favorite moments, I think there were a lot of like unique sectors that we touched on that I was sort of surprised to learn a little bit about.
Definitely.
There was veterinary real estate, right? The very like specific sector of real estate. We got to teach our guests a little bit about 1031 exchanges, which I know is like an amorphous topic that people sort of don't understand.
Yeah.
How about you? What did you?
I think for me, agree. I enjoy all the different topics that we touched and the different guests that came on to give their perspectives. But I just love how much everyone has really bought into this concept that we created.
Yes.
Because I know when you and I first decided to start this, we really were grappling with, well, how are we going to relate this back to what you and I do, which Gregory FCA, we're a full service communications agency. I focus on the PR side. Heather focuses on IR, and we work so collaboratively. But this concept of taking headlines in the industry,
what's going to make it unique, different than every other real estate podcast.
And I think that every guest has really taken the concept seriously and come on. I love the way everyone's rewritten their own headline.
Thank you all.
So it's so nice to see that come to life and really be able to give guests a platform to discuss what's happening out in the news, because we talk about it day in and day out. We talk about it with our teams and with our clients. But to really get to hear so many different perspectives has been really cool.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know about you, but I think the one thing that came through on like every episode is that the entire real estate industry is united in waiting for a Fed rate cut. So
I knew that was
we
coming,
happened to be recording the day before.
Yep, the 17th.
The Fed's announcement. So, this will likely air after that has happened. But I'm feeling like everybody's going to get what they wanted. So
fingers crossed. Because looking at all of our headlines from the first 9 episodes, if you will, 10, one being the one that you and I recorded together. Pretty much everyone is banking on, REITs soaring after interest rate cuts, the housing market rebounding. All of these different things are contingent upon this decision that's going to happen tomorrow. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So I guess just thinking back on the first season, I guess as we're calling
season
it.
1.
What do you feel like we didn't delve into that we're hoping to kind of get to? Like, was there a sector? Is there a topic? Anything you're kind of hoping? Because I know that like sometimes it's a matter of scheduling, but like,
for sure.
What have we missed?
Yeah, it seems like we were pretty heavy on the REIT space, which I thought was great. First of all, the whole goal here is also to inform and educate, and we had so many guests do that. I know I'm learning a lot in the process. I think we covered multifamily and some housing pretty well. We also had some office perspective. And then, as you mentioned, got into some niche sectors like veterinary, 1031 exchanges. We haven't had anything about retail.
Right.
Surprising,
my bread and butter.
Come from a retail background. Industrial, I'd still love to tap into that. What else? Maybe some more healthcare sort of topics, life sciences. But looking at our roster of lodging, hospitality, you're right. But looking at some of who's still to come in our future episodes, I know we're going to be tackling with Jonathan Burton from the Independence Historical Trust. We actually had the pleasure of working with him 2 summers ago, and he's going to come on to talk about historical properties and the revitalization. So I think that'll be interesting. We do have MK Lindsay coming on from Crawford Hoying to talk about hospitality.
Right.
So that'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Also, she'll be our first female guest. Can you believe that?
I know.
We
That's
haven't
crazy.
had a female guest yet.
Yep, it is wild. We do have a few coming up, though, so we're excited about that. Stay
tuned. But yeah, what about you? Anything else you think we haven't covered?
I mean, I know we covered office, but I really am intrigued to see where this goes, and how the office space evolves, how the return to office kind of trends continue, and kind of coming from, like we sort of touched on, coming from that mall space where we were kind of counted on as dead for a while, and then the reality was quality prevailed, and there was a shift for sure, but the narrative was overbearing and inaccurate.
Sure.
And now it's completely shifted for brick and mortar retail. It's kind of resurged a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see where office goes, if there's conversions of office buildings, if, where kind of occupancy rates level off. And just kind of, I feel like there's a lot more to be written there.
Yeah. And what's interesting is I had just read this morning that Amazon is asking employees to come back. It's I believe 5 days a week starting in January. So that'll be interesting to see if that sort of, inspires other companies to bring employees back.
Yeah.
But I think what we heard from our guests on the topic, right, is that those buildings that have the best amenities and the best experiences are still going to be the ones that prevail.
Right.
So,
yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's right. And that's kind of how it works, right?
Yeah.
When there's a mismatch between supply and demand.
Yeah.
The paradigm shifts a little bit, but I think it'll be interesting. And I think I don't know, I think as the labor market has cooled a little bit, maybe employers will require more in-office work to, enforce collaboration and inspire each other.
Yeah, for sure. I think what's interesting too is that, right? So going back to our concept about giving guests the opportunity to give perspective, to debunk myths, to confirm them, etc. I would say, and maybe you'll agree, that a lot of our guests did come on and say, hey, some of what the headlines that are out there are true, right? Like we are feeling some of these impacts from the economy and other things in our line of business.
Yep.
However, they all felt really positive about the future of each of their sectors.
That's right.
And their ability to rebound. So I loved that, right? We can't take everything we just read right, at surface level. There are other narratives. And I thought all of our guests did a great job giving us that bigger picture story of like, yes, that's true, but there's also these aspects to keep in mind. So.
Right. It was almost like the subhead needed to be rewritten.
For sure.
But no, I agree with that. And I think, real estate is very cyclical, as we've sort of lived through. And I think most of the perspective we've gotten on this show has been very grounded and
definitely
like, this is a cycle. Interest rates are high.
This too shall pass.
Cost prohibitive, but the demand is still there. People still need places to live.
Absolutely.
They need places to work. They need places to shop. And they need places to stay when they go on vacation. So there are shifts. It's just, the investment cycle sort of morphs over time.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of places to live, we had David Diestel, the CEO of First Service Residential. That's an episode that definitely stands out to me because, well, one, he has such great energy and his personality is infectious. But that was an interesting one to talk about too. This concept of HOAs and community associations that continue to get this bad rep in the press, but why do people keep choosing to live in them, right? There's a reason.
There's some protections afforded there.
And conveniences, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing is like, we've always broken real estate down into very specific sectors, which certainly have expanded, I will say. We learned on one of our episodes about a marina REIT, right, that was forming. And I think like there's so many adjacencies that are impacted by the real estate sector, like for service residential and architectural and engineering firms. And I think, kind of the universe is really a lot of commercial businesses are tied to real estate sectors. So I just think it's interesting to start exploring those too in future episodes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to diving further in some of these future topics and different asset classes that we haven't touched on yet.
I had a great time, and I can't wait for season 2.
Me too. Yeah. I'm so glad to do this with you.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of wraps up season 1, right?
Yeah.
And we're off to season 2. We're getting ready to start recording. So thank you all for joining us. We'd love to hear from you. If you are interested in being a guest, email us at plotlines@gregoryfca.com. And we look forward to season 2.
Thanks, everyone.
This podcast is a production of Gregory FCA. If you enjoyed our discussion, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts